There's a moment most dog owners have experienced but never quite examined. You pick up your keys. You reach for your jacket. Maybe you check your phone one last time before heading to the door. And your dog, who was sleeping, completely at ease just moments ago, is already there. Already watching you. Already knowing. You haven't said a word. You haven't made any deliberate signal. But somehow, they knew. Most people laugh it off. He always does that. She can tell when I'm leaving. And then they walk out the door, and they don't think much more about it. But here's the thing. What happens in the next few hours, what your dog actually experiences while you're gone, is one of the most misunderstood parts of the human-dog relationship. And the behaviors that lead up to it, and follow it, carry more meaning than most owners ever realize. This video is about those behaviors. Not the dramatic ones. The quiet ones. The ones you've seen 100 times but maybe never read correctly. Because once you understand what your dog is actually going through when you leave, what they feel, what they track, what they're waiting for, the ordinary moments you share with them will start to look completely different. Let's start before you even leave. You have a routine. You probably don't think of it as a routine, but your dog has memorized it down to the smallest detail. The sound of a specific alarm. The smell of coffee brewing. The order in which you move through the house. The particular jingle of a specific set of keys versus the ones that stay home. Dogs are extraordinary pattern readers. Their sense of time isn't organized around clocks the way ours is. It's built around sequences. When this happens, then that happens. When that happens, the person leaves. So by the time you're reaching for your bag, your dog has already been tracking you for minutes, maybe longer. Not anxiously, not always, but attentively. There's a difference. A dog who watches you calmly, who follows you to the door but doesn't escalate, who sits quietly as you leave, that dog has learned something valuable. They've learned that your departure has a pattern, and patterns end. You leave, and you come back. The sequence resolves. That kind of calm at the door didn't happen by accident. It developed over time, through repetition and consistency. And it reflects something real about how your dog understands the world you've built together. Now here's where it gets more interesting. When you actually leave, your dog doesn't just experience your absence as silence. They experience it through something far more immediate. Scent. Your home, to your dog, is a living scent landscape. You are the dominant scent in it. The couch you sit on, the blanket you use, the spot where you stand every morning, all of it carries your presence in ways that don't disappear the moment you walk out the door. Research into dog scent cognition suggests that dogs may actually be able to gauge how long you've been gone based on how much your scent has faded. Your smell lingers, and as it slowly dissipates, your dog gets a kind of olfactory countdown, a continuous, sensory reminder that time is passing and you haven't returned yet. This is why so many dogs gravitate to their owner's belongings while they are away. It's not destructive behavior in most cases. It's proximity seeking. Your worn shirt, your pillow, the cushion where you spend most evenings, these aren't just objects. They're the closest thing to you that your dog has access to. Some dogs circle these items. Some sleep directly on them. Some carry them from room to room. If you've ever come home to find your dog curled up on something that belongs to you, you were looking at comfort-seeking behavior. You were looking at your dog managing the distance between you. But what happens emotionally during those hours apart? This is the part that varies the most between individual dogs. And it's worth understanding, because the range is wider than most people expect. For many dogs, particularly those who are well-adjusted, whose environment is stable, and who have learned through experience that their person returns, alone time isn't a crisis. It can actually involve genuine rest. Dogs are capable of long, deep sleep, and for dogs who are confident and settled, the absence of activity can simply mean the absence of activity. For other dogs, particularly those who haven't yet developed that confidence, or whose history includes unpredictability or loss, alone time can trigger something closer to low-level or significant distress. Cortisol, the hormone associated with stress, can rise during separation. Breathing may change. Restlessness may increase. Some dogs pace. Some vocalize. Some focus intensely on exit points. The important word here is can. Not every dog experiences this. Not every nervous behavior at departure means something is wrong. But if your dog consistently shows signs of distress around your leaving, if the anxiety is intense or prolonged, that's worth paying attention to, not as a failure, but as information. Because here's something worth holding on to. A dog who struggles with separation isn't being dramatic. They're responding to the loss of their anchor point. You, as their primary attachment figure, regulate something for them that they haven't yet learned to fully regulate on their own. That's not a burden. That's just what connection looks like between two different species who have spent thousands of years choosing each other. There's a behavior that many owners overlook because it seems so small. The look back. You're walking out the door. Or you're at the dog park and you've moved a few feet away. Or you're on a walk and your dog has gone slightly ahead. And then they stop. They turn. They look directly at you. Most people assume this is just checking in. And in a basic sense, it is. But there's a specific term for it in animal behavior research: social referencing. It's the same behavior human infants show with their caregivers. When something in the environment is ambiguous, not clearly safe, not clearly threatening, the young animal turns to the trusted adult to read their response. Their face, their body language, their energy, and then they calibrate their own reaction based on what they see. Your dog does this with you. When they look back on a walk, they're not just checking your location. They're checking your emotional state. Are you relaxed? Are you tense? Are you paying attention to something I should also be paying attention to? Your dog is using you as an emotional reference point for navigating the world, which means something that might not have occurred to you. The face you show your dog matters more than you think. If you leave the house stressed and rushed, your dog reads that. If you return home and walk in distracted or agitated, they read that too. They don't know the content of your problems, but they know your body. They know your patterns, and they respond accordingly. The reunion is its own subject. Watch what your dog does when you come home, not just in the first 30 seconds, but in the following few minutes. The initial burst of excitement, the jumping, the spinning, the whimpering, that's release. That's the moment the waiting ends. But what comes after is actually more telling. Many dogs, once the initial greeting settles, will stay close. Not demanding, not jumping or pawing, just near. They'll follow you into the kitchen while you put things away. They'll settle at your feet while you check your phone. They'll choose to be in whatever room you're in, even if they were on the other side of the house a moment ago. This is re-anchoring. It's the process of re-establishing proximity after a period of separation. For bonded dogs, physical closeness in the minutes after a reunion isn't just affection. It's recalibration. There's actually fascinating research on oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, in dog-human interactions. Studies have found that mutual gazing between dogs and their owners, and physical contact, trigger oxytocin release in both species. Not just in the dog. In both. The moments after you come home, when your dog quietly settles near you, are not incidental. Something real is happening in both of your bodies. Connection has a biology. And your dog has always known that, even without the words for it. Now here's something worth watching for, because most owners miss it entirely. Over time, dogs build something that researchers sometimes call a secure base, a foundational confidence that comes from having a stable, predictable attachment figure. The same concept applies in human developmental psychology. Children who feel securely attached are more confident exploring the world because they trust that safety exists to return to. Dogs do this too. A dog who feels genuinely secure in their relationship with you will often show a particular kind of independence. They'll move through the house on their own. They'll choose to rest in a different room. They'll engage with their environment without constantly needing reassurance. This can confuse some owners. He doesn't seem that attached to me. He doesn't always follow me around. But independence in a calm, happy dog is often evidence of security, not indifference. It means your presence has become so reliable, so steady, that your dog doesn't need to track your every movement. Contrast that with a dog who follows relentlessly, who can't settle unless they're touching you, who escalates dramatically whenever you move toward a door. That dog isn't more attached. That dog is more anxious. The bond may be deep, but it's also carrying a weight that the dog hasn't been given tools to manage. Both dogs love their people, but the expression of that love looks very different when security is present versus when it's uncertain. There's one more thing to consider, and it might be the most quietly meaningful: the routine itself. Your dog doesn't just tolerate your schedule. They orient around it. Your consistent departures and returns become the architecture of their day. When you leave at the same time and come back around the same time, your dog system adjusts. The departure becomes predictable. The return becomes something to anticipate rather than something to fear. But when that routine shifts, when your schedule changes, when you come home at unexpected times, when things feel unpredictable, watch your dog. Not to worry, but to pay attention. Some dogs handle change without much difficulty. Others show subtle signs of dysregulation, a little less settled than usual, slightly more clingy, perhaps more reactive to small sounds or movements. They're not misbehaving. They're recalibrating. The map they built of your day no longer matches the territory. If this is happening in your house, if life has recently become irregular for reasons that are out of your control, the most powerful thing you can offer your dog is small anchors. A consistent morning ritual, even a brief one. A predictable greeting when you return. A few minutes of calm attention before you rush into the evening. These things cost almost nothing. But to your dog, they're continuity. They're the signal that even when the big things shift, the important things stay the same. Here's what all of this adds up to. Your dog isn't simply waiting for you when you leave. They're holding the space you occupy in their world. They're tracking your scent as it fades. They're reading the patterns they've learned through months or years of watching you. They're managing a kind of emotional arithmetic that most people never think about. And when you come back, when they hear your car, or recognize your step on the stairs, or catch the first trace of your scent through the door, something in them resolves. Not in a dramatic way. Not always with spinning and barking. Sometimes it's just a long exhale. A tail that begins to move. A body that finally releases what it was quietly carrying. The behaviors your dog shows around your comings and goings are not random. They're not theater. They're the visible surface of something deeper. A relationship that your dog takes completely seriously, even when you're not in the room. And that, in the most ordinary moments of daily life, is what love looks like in a species that cannot use words. If your dog does any of the things we talked about today, if they watch you leave from the window, or greet you like the wait was long even when it wasn't, or quietly follow you back to whatever room you're in, tell us about it in the comments. We'd genuinely love to hear. And if understanding your dog a little better each week sounds like the kind of thing you want in your life, subscribing is the simplest way to stay in that conversation. Your dog already knows what they mean to you. This channel is just about helping you understand what you mean to them.